Welcome to the TK Show with the Athletic Bay Area's editor-in-chief, Tim Kawakami.
Everybody, Tim Kawakami here, TK Show, Summer Edition, Summer League Edition. I am not at Summer League, or haven't been, thank God. I think the last one I went to was like 12 years ago. But someone who just is back from Summer League, the Athletics' own Warriors beat writer. You know him as the millennial that you love, Anthony Slater. We can talk about this millennial thing I have, my problem with millennials later. But first, let's talk Warriors. People might actually be more interested in Warriors than my own dumb opinions. Anthony, Las Vegas, Summer League. I mean, the Warriors have a first-round pick, Jacob Evans. They had DeMarcus Cousins wander in and talk to you guys a little bit about signing. What is just your general impression of the way this team kind of went into Summer League and is still kind of there? What are they in a great mood? Are they just kind of status quo? Where are they right now?
It was kind of, I don't know, maybe a boring Summer League from their perspective, at least on the court. You know, you'd have guys being shuttling in, and, you know, all 30 teams are there for the first time this year in Vegas. And, wow. You know, you see DeAndre Ayton and Mo Bamba and all these, you know, games are going on of guys you want to see. But the problem is the Warriors not only have one first rounder, Jacob Evans, who plays in some ways kind of a boring style of play. I mean, it could potentially be effective. We can talk about his struggles shooting the three, but they also didn't play anyone that had that, you know, many interesting players. I mean, yeah, I guess the Clippers have the guys, you know, Gilgeous Alexander, Jerome Robinson, but there wasn't any top picks in their game. So it was weird. Like you had the game going on, but everything that was going on fringe of the game is what mattered, which was, you know, like you said, Cousins wandering in and signed his contract in like a back hallway near their locker room, and then Myers is talking and Kerr's wandering around, Lacob sitting courtside the other day, and it was just kind of everything going on around the court. And then you'd watch Jacob Evans when he was in the game, maybe a couple of the other guys. Jordan Bell was making highlight plays, although he sat the last game. But, you know, for a franchise that used to obsess over some of their top picks that were at Summer League, that's just kind of not what goes on anymore.
I know they use two courts, right? And I'm just interested. Like, there seems to be like a whole milling around area there now, right? And like, I'm seeing this is kind of like there's 5 guys just milling around there. Is that kind of a new feature? And is that kind of the place to be, just kind of mill around on the side there?
Yeah, I believe Ethan called it like the schmooze pit. But, yeah, so there's 2 arenas. I don't know if you've ever been to UNLV's campus, yes, or they're like, you know, sporting venue, but you have the Thomas and Mack, which is their big arena where they play the games. And then there's like a little kind of tunnel almost that goes to the Cox Pavilion, which is like a big practice facility. USA basketball practices there all the time, and they're connected. And, you know, it's a really cool setting for fans where you can, you know, get in and go to both games, and you can, you know, walk back and forth. You know, pick whichever game you want to go to. But there's also a tunnel. It's kind of on the far side of the Thomas and Mack, where a lot of the big names walk in. It's, you know, Magic Johnson's walking through the metal detector down there. And, you know, I mentioned Kerr and Myers are there. They're walking back and forth in the tunnel, and it's so many agents and media personalities. Sirius XM radio is like stationed, but really kind of in the back hallway there, and they're shuttling guests through, and you can pretty much just sit there, and it's a who's who of NBA people that you can sit there and have conversations with, you know, on or off the record. It's kind of an interesting setup.
I like it, you know, and this allows for relationships and allows for some information sharing. So what was I think you mentioned you talked to some people around the league just about what the Warriors are doing, or certain of their players. Jordan Bell, are league people upset about the Cousins thing? What's the reaction to that just there about Cousins coming to the Warriors for the mid-level?
Yeah, you know, it's funny that the Cousins news actually dropped when I was in Sacramento for Summer League, and it was like a bomb that day, especially because it happened to be where, you know, there was so much Cousins interest there. I remember I was in like the Sacramento press room when I went down. I was like, he went where? Like, people were going wild. And you know, even talking to Warriors people that night, they were stunned. I mean, I know everyone's kind of talked about the story now about, you know, they pretty much day of that it happened found out it possibly could happen. I mean, we were sitting there talking to some Warrior staffers who weren't in the know that were discussing whether he might go to the Lakers or you know, where Cousins might go. So that to me was the day where there was just like, you know, people were just stunned by the news. Whereas well, by the time we got to Vegas, it was a few days later. I think people had let the news settle where it's like, the Achilles injury, who knows when he'll come back. There was other kind of free agency news that had filtered out. It was interesting the day he came in, but to me, the talk, at least the last day I was there, Luka Richard Mbah-a-Moute is not a big name free agent, but just his departure from Houston was kind of the, final stamp of like, man, it's not just that Cousins is to the Warriors, it's that their biggest challengers like really been weakened, and they're sitting there and they're kind of toying with Clint Capella right now, and obviously they lost Ariza to the Suns, and they're talking about bringing in Carmelo Anthony, which is such an anti-Warriors guy in a matchup, and it's like that to me is like what's hurting the league a little bit right now, where we thought we were going to go into next season like, wow, look at this West Finals rematch that we might see, and now there are people there saying, well, can the Jazz make a leap? Maybe the Thunder can kind of ascend a little bit now that Paul George is there settled and they're not forced to play Carmelo Anthony, or can the Lakers do something to maybe jump in that next tier? Because people think the Rockets have really fallen behind.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times. I mean, is there another move here for the Rockets? Daryl Morey's not a dumb guy. I mean, they're going to throw out Gerald Green and Carmelo Anthony as their versions of Luc Richard Mbah-a-Moute and Trevor Ariza. What's happening there?
Yeah, I don't know. They still have the taxpayer mid-level, but number one, I'm not sure who's still out there. Mbah-a-Moute would have been a guy you could pay with that. And obviously, they can't do that anymore. And also, are they willing to pay it? That's been the big thing where Tillman Fertitta sounded like he was coming in and there was a bunch of money and he was there to win, but you kind of got to prove it with your actions. And he hasn't this summer. I mean, they're kind of lowballed Capella, and now he's mad. Like I said, obviously let Ariza walk. I don't love Ariza at that price, $15 million, but that's a little bit like Iguodala last year, right? I don't love Iguodala at the price the Warriors had to pay him, but they did it because they knew it would help them win a little bit. You don't want to pay Trevor Ariza $15 million, but if you had Trevor Ariza, regardless of price, and that tax bill would have been astronomical, he would have helped them beat the Warriors. They are making moves that are helping them financially, but will not help them in the biggest matchups. So what can they do? I don't know. I mean, like you said, Morey can maybe swing a trade at the right time, but the reality is he seems to be a bit hamstrung by the wanting of the owner to lower that tax bill.
By the Ryan Anderson deal too, by the way.
Well, if they moved off that, that'd be great, but that's so hard to do, and if they do that, they're going to be attaching pieces and assets that Morey doesn't want to attach.
Yep. We talk about all these Warriors wins that were humongous, Game 6 in Oklahoma City or some of these others. Game 7 against Houston, really, I mean, if Houston wins that, they probably win a championship, and they might keep all these guys or keep many of them. And they lose that, Warriors go on to their third championship in 4 years, and Houston starts losing things. Maybe we're going to look back on that Game 7, or you could even look back on the whole series as somewhere where history really could have been changed. That's the way I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. I assume when people talk about it, they'll say the Paul hamstring.
Yep.
And, we can talk about, Iguodala's injury. The Paul hamstring really did seem to kind of swing it. And as bad as Game 7 looked at halftime, Game 6 looked bad at halftime, too. Remember? I don't remember what the Rockets were up, but
10. Because remember, the Warriors closed it to 10. It's like, they were down 18, they closed it to 10, and then they were ahead in about 3 minutes into the third quarter.
I just remember that first quarter was like, whoa, they're really going to go down like this. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Winning the title makes it a lot more appetizing to spend a big bill going into the summer. And, you flip that on the other side. What if the Warriors had lost, like with Joe Lacob, have, made some changes? Is suddenly Iguodala on the block? Or, and that'll be a big question to me going into next year when this thing is about to get wildly expensive for the Warriors next summer, when they basically have to make a decision about all but two of the guys on their roster. I think if they win or if they don't win if they don't win, they have a chance to make, a ton of changes. And is Joe Lacob going to be patient and maybe bring guys back even though they didn't win it and have almost a Spurs mentality of like always trying to run it back? Or, does he get impatient or just not love those tax bills like Fertitta's basically doing right now? So, winning a title and not winning a title is a huge thing.
We're going to take a quick break for a word from our friends at Simple Contacts. There are a million things demanding your time, like this podcast, so thank you again for listening, but contact lenses shouldn't be one of them. That's why we're excited about Simple Contacts, a company that is making the process of renewing your prescription and buying contacts, simple. Simple Contacts is the most convenient way to get your contact lens prescription renewed and stock up on your brand of contacts. Get this. Instead of taking time off and spending hours at the doctor just to renew your prescription, you can do it online in under 5 minutes. This is vision care for the 21st century. Here's how it works. Take a quick self-guided vision test from your phone or computer. It's reviewed by a licensed doctor in 24 hours. You receive a renewed prescription and reorder your brand of contacts. So simple. If you have an unexpired prescription, you can use them too. Just upload a photo of it or your doctor's info and order your lens in less than a minute for a great price. They do all the hard work for you. Buying more contacts has never been easier, and why should it be hard in the first place? That's why Simple Contacts was created. Simple Contacts offers every brand of lenses and their prices are unbeatable. Plus, the prescription is just $20. Compare that with an annual appointment, which can be up to $200 without insurance. Shipping is free, and best of all, TK's listeners get $20 off their first Simple Contacts order. To save $20 on your lenses, just go to simplecontacts.com/TKShow or enter the code TKShow20 at checkout. Do have to mention that this is not a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam, so you'll still need to get those done occasionally, but this is the most convenient way to renew your prescription and reorder your contacts. Again, check out Simple Contacts and get $20 off by going to simplecontacts.com/TKShow20 or just enter code TKShow20 at checkout. Save yourself time, money, and a headache with Simple Contacts. And now for a word from our friends at Lightstream. Want to know an easy way to save some money? Lower the interest rate on your credit card debt with a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. Lightstream rewards consumers who have good credit with a great interest rate and no fees. Get a credit card consolidation loan from 5.89% APR with AutoPay. Choose your funding date as soon as today. TK's listeners get an additional interest rate discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/TKShow. That's lightstream.com/TKShow. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more information. And now, back to the TK Show.
Let's talk about Kevin Durant. Comes back for the 1-year deal. The time frame certainly was attention-getting. What do you think Durant, I mean, obviously he's setting himself up for a max deal next year. He couldn't do it this year. But do you think he's also, maybe at some percentage of him saying, let me take a look around next year. Maybe this is the first real time when Durant might think about leaving the Warriors next July.
Yes, I do think this is the first time. And even talking to people around the situation, they, emphasize this wasn't like last year when he took the pay cut. That was like, hey, I'm taking a pay cut for the Warriors. I'm taking a pay cut to make sure we get Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston back. Like this was strategic for the Warriors, almost a partnership. This year, it saved the Warriors money, but that wasn't necessarily purposeful. If he could have done a 1-and-1 and got his full max, he would have got his full max. The fact is he just wanted the 1-and-1 and he had to take $5 million less, but he wanted that because he wanted the freedom next year to at least look around. That does not mean he is, already decided he's leaving. But I definitely think if, he logs 3 years, and if that's either 3 years, 3 titles, that's kind of an interesting, storybook way to walk away. Or, even if they lose, then, maybe there'll be some frustrated feelings. But I think he wants his options open. I know the New York rumor has kind of started to bubble up a bit. Obviously, he's got Royale Ivy, who's maybe his best friend, probably one of his top 3 best friends in the world, who is now an assistant on David Fizdale's staff. David Fizdale is a guy he really respects, who's now the head coach there, starting to build something. Scott Perry, the guy running things there, was in Seattle when Durant was drafted. Rich Kleiman, Durant's business partner from New York, is kind of infatuated with the Knicks franchise in a lot of ways. So, another one, Kyrie Irving, a guy who, to me, Durant really respects and commonly comes out in the media and is always, kind of boosting up. He's going to be a free agent. And maybe that's a guy who they talk about maybe pairing in the future. And look, I don't want this to be aggregated.
Aggregation alert.
It's like everyone's got to say it these days. But it's just there are enough things that make you wonder if that is potentially a possibility.
Kevin Durant is going to make us write a lot of stories. He says he doesn't want this thing, but this year he set up this thing where it's going to be something every single time.
Well, it's going to be crazy this year because you got him on obviously the 1-year deal with the thought that he actually may leave really for the first time. Klay Thompson, it doesn't seem like he's pointing towards an extension this summer. So he'll be entering free agency. Obviously, Cousins is basically on a 1-year hired gun deal, probably leaving. Literally, I was looking at their roster yesterday. There's only 2 people that are settled. Steph Curry, for sure, on a max deal. And then Jacob Evans, he's a rookie, so he's a first-round rookie, so he's settled on his contract. Everyone else is either an unrestricted free agent, a restricted free agent, or the other 2 would be Andre Iguodala or Sean Livingston, who I think we'll talk about maybe Andre Iguodala walking into a potential trade situation. And Sean Livingston, you got to decide on a cut situation because he only has $2 million of his $8 million guaranteed. Like those days between, probably June 24th and like July 7th of next summer are going to be like so monumental for like the future and how they either reconfigure the roster or regather it.
Draymond will have 1 more year left, but yeah, he could be looking at an extension.
Well, yes, I should have mentioned that one, but yeah, he's looking at extension obviously, and which will be really interesting if he wins Defensive Player of the Year and he's not only just extension eligible but designated player extension eligible, where it's the massive max contract. And he's sitting there asking for it and saying, now that I've earned it, I want it. Man, the Warriors just got a lot of decisions to make.
Interestingly, and they're moving into a new arena just a little bit after that. So, this is all timed out very interestingly. I think most of it will probably be settled, but and we'll see about Klay. We'll see about Klay on that one. But no question, Joe Lacob and Bob Myers have a lot of things that are working towards next July, and we will be writing constantly. We're not going to be just writing about them in June. We're going to be writing about them throughout the season because everyone else will be writing about them. You've mentioned Jacob Evans. We've all been saying that was a key pick for this franchise. They were basically saying it themselves before they made it. That 28th pick, right? 28th pick was going to be really important. It was going to walk right into the rotation. Didn't look great shooting the ball so far in Summer League. Do you think he does walk into a rotation spot still?
I think they're going to push him into it, just like they're going to push Damian Jones into a role, even if he's not ready. And if that means Jacob Evans doesn't play well for the first 20 games and getting maybe 12 minutes a night, and that means they lose 2 more games, I don't think they care too much about that. Obviously Steve Kerr's mentioned his strategy next year. It's an 82-game preseason for these guys in a sense. So we'll know a lot more about Evans because he's going to get that opportunity. But is he ready? If they were playing playoff game number 1 tomorrow, would he be in the rotation? It's tough for me to think he would. The 3-point shot, it really seems like that distance to me from the college line to the NBA line, whatever, 2, 3, 4 feet, is detrimental to his shot. He doesn't seem to get his legs into it. I don't know how much you've seen it yet. It kind of looks a little Kevin Martin-like to me, except doesn't go in, or at least hasn't gone in. Hit 37% in college, and look, you talk to him. One thing I will say, he's confident it will. He kind of almost scoffs at you when you question it. He's sitting there going, I'm a 37% shooter. I'm a proven shooter. And I understand his thought process because he hit a lot of threes. I think 174 in his 3 seasons at Cincinnati. But when you watch it on an NBA court from an NBA distance, I think he's 2 of 18 in Summer League so far. It doesn't look good. And that to me is like the deciding factor if he's on the court or not, right? He does enough other stuff decently. He's just smart. He's going to be in the right places. He does not wow you really ever, especially offensively. But he can guard enough positions that if he could sit out there and hit 35% from 3, I think he could be a fine rotation piece, a fine 8th man in the Warriors rotation. But if he's shooting it like Patrick McCaw shot it last year, he's going to be sitting on the bench like Patrick McCaw had to be sitting on the bench.
There's a lot of guys going to be sitting on the bench then because
it's true.
They need some of those guys to play.
Yeah, no, it's true, and they will, and that's why Steve Kerr kept trying Patrick McCaw last year, right? He'd sit him for a couple games because it's like, man, this guy's lost his shot, lost his confidence, but then he would try other guys, and Omri Caspi had lost his shot and lost his confidence, so they would go back to McCaw, and that's why it was such a big problem. Look, we've said the stat a ton of times, last in bench threes in the NBA last year. does that. I mean, the Jerebko signing, I think, has a lot to do with that. But, the mid-level was probably going to go to somebody that, a wing that they probably thought could shoot. It obviously had to go to Cousins for good reasons for the Warriors, and he's probably going to be their fourth best three-point shooter eventually. But they still kind of have a back-end roster shooting issues.
You reported that Tariq Evans was their number one choice. He obviously went to Indiana for more. Were there any others you think that they were looking at, or was it, okay, this is going to cost so much, it's just Tariq Evans, or then all of a sudden Cousins fell to them?
Yeah, I think Avery Bradley was somebody they were hoping might fall to them, or others, really. I think they even said it, Myers said it right before free agency. It's a situation where we're going to have to sit back and watch, I think he said. I think he was thinking somebody was going to fall. Maybe an Mbah Mute right around this time of July was going to be sitting there. They all, the Clippers got him at $4-point-something million, so they wouldn't have even probably had to spend the full mid-level on Mbah Mute. But he's sitting there on whatever day it was, July 3rd, and DeMarcus Cousins called, and their plans changed. And they didn't want a big for the mid-level exception. They never planned for that. But when it's that big, man, that kind of, shifted their priorities. And then the Jerebko thing, who now has become, I guess, a second free agency that they've gone out and got. He wasn't even a restricted free agent, he wasn't even a free agent coming into July. The Jazz still had an opportunity. I think their deadline was July 9th or something to decide if they wanted to guarantee his money. And because the Jazz got Exum and they re-signed Favors and they just kind of brought back a bunch of money, they then had to dump Jerebko. So that kind of formulated a bit out of nowhere. And that's just kind of how free agency is sometimes. You go in with all these different plans. Yeah, we're going to go after Evans and do this and that. And then suddenly DeMarcus Cousins is calling you and Jonas Jerebko is available. And that's just what happens.
I just realized if they signed Tariq Evans, they would have had Jacob Evans and Tariq Evans both playing the 2-3. So that would have been confusing.
Yeah, they would have had to do the back of the jerseys, J. Evans and T. Evans.
I just things that dawn on me on recording a podcast. It's just strange. Okay, Cousins comes on. We know, who knows, November, December, January, whenever he's going to be healthy enough to play. How does that shake out their rotations? I guess Kerr said he's going to start when he's ready. But how do you see the center rotation playing out, and does that have kind of ripple effects on the second unit, on the way Kerr plays everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, like every addition, especially of a 20 or more minute per guy into a rotation, just kind of jacks up everything else around it. But I think center-wise, they're going to start the year giving all three of their young guys, good, healthy run, including Damian Jones. Kerr's even mentioned throwing him out there with the starters. I don't know that necessarily means he's going to get starts, but I think he's going to get minutes where he's out there with the four other All-Stars because he loved JaVale McGee with the four other All-Stars because it was a lob threat up top, vertical spacing along with obviously the horizontal spacing with the shooters. So I think Damian Jones is going to get a tryout from the start of the season until DeMarcus Cousins is healthy. Basically, is that Thanksgiving, which is where right around Thanksgiving is where you would almost expect a guy coming off an Achilles tear to come back. But I think they're going to ease him back. I would guess more towards Christmas into January. They don't know yet. He has a checkup in July. But once Cousins comes back, my guess is I'm not sure I'm a believer in Damian Jones. I don't know about you. I kind of think he'll fall back, especially once Cousins gets there. I think their center rotation in the part of the season that matters as they're coming down the stretch is going to be Cousins starting. You spot minutes Bell and Looney. I actually think Bell, especially this season, is going to get some minutes at the 4. He can play make a little bit better. I think he's shown that some in summer league. He had a 7-assist night the other day. I think they're going to start giving him 20 minutes almost every night, even when Cousins is there in a 4 situation and almost a small ball 5 if you consider him a small ball 5. I think as far as second unit goes, it's going to be very interesting. The staggers of KD and Curry, if they still sit there and want to bench them both to start the second quarter and the fourth quarter, I think they have a better chance to score the ball now with DeMarcus Cousins. Those are his New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento Kings minutes, right? So that's when you feature him, dump it down. You spread Clay on the other side of the court. He can really pass it. People probably fail to remember DeMarcus Cousins almost had 6 assists per game last year. I mean, he can really pass it.
Good passer. Yep.
So that is actually going to be the fun part of the regular season. And Kerr, I mean, it's going to be he's going to be toggling with rotations every week, especially in the regular season. And they're going to strategically bench guys just because they want to see certain 5-man units playing together for more time. And that is going to be the fun thing to follow during a regular season again next year, where they're going to win 55-plus games, and they're not going to really care for the 1 or 2 seed.
I'll just say on Damian Jones, I do think Damian Jones is the most talented of the group, the young group, but he can't stay on the court, and he gets really jumpy. And so, yeah, they're hoping he becomes JaVale McGee, but he might not. I do think he's he's clearly their biggest body, and he's got the nicest regular shot, but that might not play out. No question.
Yeah,
might not play out.
I would say Jordan Bell to me is just a better basketball player. He just I think it's the mind for basketball. Like Damian Jones is a very smart guy. Went to Vanderbilt, super guy to talk to, but he just. You could just kind of tell he's still in his third year, telling himself in his mind where to go. It's almost like he's like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to cut over here. Okay, they want me to come up and screen over here, where it's starting to move quicker for Jordan Bell. He's out there and, he's almost orchestrating the game. I really liked what I've seen from him in Summer League. He's getting the rebound and pushing it up the break. And like I said, not just the 7 assists, but the decision-making, a little bit of the leadership. To me, he's at an elevated place from where Jones is.
All right. We can go on and on, I think, but let's wrap this up with Anthony Slater's favorite restaurant in Las Vegas. Let's make it special for the Las Vegas crowd. There's tons of great restaurants there. What's the one you end up going to most?
There are a ton, but I go a little bit off the strip. Firefly. Okay. Have you ever been there?
Is that the Maloof one? No, I'm not sure.
It's like a tapas bar. Okay. Where it's just you can get just a bunch of small plates, which I like. You can kind of get different tastes of stuff. But you order 3-4 things. And why I probably went there maybe 2 or 3 times. It's like right near the place where the Renaissance, which is where a ton of media basketball writers stay. And then they go out and eat at the Firefly. But it's a really good spot.
Renaissance, why would they be there? I'm trying to think why.
Points.
Yes, with no casino. I know that. There's no casino at the Renaissance. What's your favorite casino? You're a casino guy. What's your favorite casino in Vegas?
I like the Aria Hotel, which, I kind of just pick which hotel I like because they all kind of have casinos and they all have the same options because I'm not a huge gambler. But, I like seeing a sports book and, maybe some, blackjack and different stuff around. But the Aria Casino is one of the newer ones right next to the Cosmo, which is also a new one. I'm a little bit more bougie than maybe most that go to Vegas.
I just like the ones when I used to go there all the time when I covered boxing. I just go to the ones where I win. The Venetian, I'll always be loyal to the Venetian because I won $600 there once. So that has me forever, the Venetian.
I went to the UFC fight the other day in Vegas, which is wild, at the T-Mobile Arena. Have you seen the new arena down there?
I have not.
It's a really nice arena, and obviously it holds the hockey team. They just got a WNBA team. I saw the early days of construction for the Raiders stadium.
How's that looking? You're going to be for sure ready?
It's just some cranes at this point, a bunch of yellow cranes. I did not see one thing actually up in the air. Yeah. Or off the ground, but it's kind of becoming a sports market, and which is interesting. I think they want an NBA team. I think Seattle's kind of first in line for an NBA team, but Vegas would be probably top 3 at this point as markets that might get a team.
Well, the way the Golden Knights were received, forget about them winning. Just the energy of that, I think, got a lot of people's attention. Now we'll see what happens with Raiders, but it's just basically a branch of LA now. That's how leagues look at them. Las Vegas is just kind of another, suburb of Los Angeles with lots of money because the demographics don't work by itself. That I know. They do not work by themselves. But
I believe that will be the location of the first Warriors-Lakers game. I think they're playing in preseason in Vegas, so that'll be the first LeBron Lakers against the Warriors sighting.
And Anthony Slater will be back in Vegas, perhaps even sooner than that, because we got the Team USA thing going on. But listen, Anthony, appreciate it as always. Good talking to you, and glad to have you back from Vegas. And I'm sure we'll be talking.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, Anthony Slater. That's the show for today. Thanks.